See everyone. So great to be back in Buffalo, where when you say go Bills, people answer correctly. They say go Bills, right? I'm still trying to teach the rest of the state. We have to be patient with them. Wonderful to see everyone again. And I want to thank you for joining us on this special afternoon. And thank my partners in government. And two women who may look a little sleep deprived is our Majority Leader, Crystal Peoples-Stokes, who's been working tirelessly on our budget. And Senator April Baskin did a great job. Strong partners who delivered for Buffalo and our budget. We worked hard together. Also, we have our County Executive, Mark Polenkars, who's joined us. Thank you, County Executive, for all you do. Mayor Chris Scanlon has joined us. Thank you, Mayor, for all you do as well. All the other elected leaders here today, but also I have my dream team. I have the leader of my economic development team who's doing an extraordinary job, and believe me, she has been to Buffalo almost as much as I have, and that is the President and CEO of Empire State Development, Hope Knight. Commissioner for Civil Service, Tim Hogues, who's also did it for the county, Buffalo's own. And Mark Schroeder, who has been head of our DMV and through some trials and tribulations, but he got Real ID over the finish line. And Larry Stitz, the president of the Greater Jefferson Business Association. Larry. And owner of Golden Cup Coffee, where I went there first when I landed. Larry, and constituents always have a lot on their mind in your place, I'll just say that. A lot of selfies, but a lot of good conversations as well. It's like, okay, I hear you. Okay, sure. Call your city council member for that. But the sweet potato pound cake is to die for, right? I mean, that's next level. That's next level. But on a more somber note, I made a promise as the first governor from Buffalo, as Mark Schroeder, our historian, would tell you, since Grover Cleveland, who is not buried here, so Mark won't count him as from Buffalo. So I may be the only governor ever from Buffalo. But I wanted to make sure that the city that has been sometimes down and out, and people thought it could never come back, I want to make sure you had all the resources you need to be the full enrichment of a truly queen city well into the 21st century. But sometimes there's setbacks that are really painful. And my hometown, just a few minutes from here, was the site of one of the most horrific, brutal mass killings driven by race in our nation's history. I'll never forget getting the call. I was over in the Hudson Valley, and within seconds I was en route, and I was still here when everything was still going on. And that has been heavy in my heart for these 3 years now. And I dedicated myself to healing this community, working closely, doing whatever I could as a daughter of Buffalo. And as we approach the anniversary just on May 14th, I wanted to make sure I stopped by, gathered with the 9/14 Memorial Commission members who are working so hard so these families have a place to go to read the stories of their family members, their loved ones, but not just for our generation, but for generations to come, that their stories will live in this memorial. When people say, who are they? When we're not even here anymore, they'll know the story of a community that was so tough and so resilient and so loving and giving of each other that they pulled together in their memory and said, we will stand against gun violence with every fiber of our being, because no one should ever have their life cut down, whether it's the random street violence or a mass murder like we experienced here in Buffalo. That is not how life is supposed to end. It is not the natural course. And I needed to come here, and we just met and placed flowers at the Topps Memorial. It is a beautiful place, but what we're working on is going to be extraordinary, extraordinary. So I'm asking this community to continue to support this. Reverend Blue, I want to thank him for chairing this commission. Let's give him a round of applause. Head of the NAACP, chair of the commission, and others who pulled together. We're just getting started, and I thank all of you for being involved. So today matters because I came here and also said, what can I do? I can give comfort, I can give sympathies, I'm a good hugger, I can hug everybody, and did a lot of that. But also to let this community know they matter and they're so important to me as the governor and to the rest of us, I knew we needed more investments. I needed to show, not just words, but in deeds. And we've worked hard to build something, and I'm grateful for all the East Buffalo property owners and the community-based real estate trainees, the non-for-profit leaders, the community partners, the elected leaders. Everybody pulled together to revitalize East Buffalo, one building at a time. So we have been steadfast in our support over the last 3 years, investing over $50 million in housing assistance alone, saying that there's too much blight here, there's too many lots that are either vacant or have decrepit buildings, or there's people living in their homes who don't have enough money to make the repairs to get by. So we've invested direct money right in this very community so that families who've lived here for generations might even be able to buy that home on their own, something that's been out of reach for so many, with the down payment assistance program, or help families who are at risk of foreclosure, or like I said, the home ownership program. All these programs were to help these individuals and their children be able to build a new life in East Buffalo and grew up where their parents did. We have beautiful amenities here. And I'm working hard to revitalize our commercial districts, which when I grew up were so busy, so vibrant. You go over the Broadway market, you didn't just come there Easter weekend. You came there all the time. That's where people shopped. My father-in-law's family had a Hochul funeral home in this part of town. And this is part of my family story. So what we've done is successfully revitalized over 60 commercial mixed-use buildings with new roofs and masonry, and doing everything we can to maintain the character and the vibrancy of this part of Buffalo. I've always marveled at our historic neighborhoods, which is why we've been so focused on restoring landmarks in this community. And for that, we've committed over $250 million in this part of Buffalo as well for the institutions and structures. Places like the Michigan Street African American Heritage Corridor and Broadway Fillmore, $10 million in revitalization for that as well. Like I said, the Broadway Market and the Central Terminal, which I want to get done. I think that's going to be a monument to resiliency of a strong, strong community that believes in itself again. And the shining Apollo Media Theater, the most beautiful Olmsted Park, the MLK Park. We've all brought them back from decline into rebirth. But we're just getting started. There's more to do, isn't there, folks? There's more to do. We have to do more. And today, we're building on that momentum with $10 million, the East Side Building Fund, because there is more to do and we're going to get it done. This will help streamline neighborhood improvements and move money, here's this, more quickly into the community, so you don't have to wait forever. I'm very impatient. Everybody knows that. But I'll take my time when it comes to important things like the budget. We'll get it right. It's all right. You get what you want. It's worth waiting for, right? I take a lot of hits. All right. We're from Buffalo, right? You can't hurt us. You can't hurt us, right? And I'll support projects of all sizes, from storefront renovations, which are so important. My mother, when she was starting out her career to help victims of domestic violence and people that were suffering in communities, became one of the founders of the Neighborhood Information Center in East Buffalo. Anybody remember that was? I think it was over on Sycamore. And my parents used to take us, and especially my mom would go visit everybody, and I saw the storefronts, and there's a lot of have great architecture, but they get plastered over. You have to put the wood up there because the plyboard, because the glass is broken, and what a sign of despair. And I want that fixed, and I want larger rehabilitation projects. With the $50 million we committed 3 years ago and $8 million more into the vacant rental program, you add it up, we're talking over $70 million. That was money that was not necessarily coming here, that I said I want spent in Buffalo. Because these areas have been neglected for too long. But also, this is such an important part of our state. What's good for Buffalo, lifting up Buffalo means we're lifting up New York. And we take care of our historic districts. You can't touch our architecture in this community and our Olmsted parks. I mean, it's extraordinary. It's extraordinary. And whether it's through renovation or new construction or restoration, there's so many different things we have an ability to do. But one thing we can never lose sight of is our belief in the better future. And if it takes resources from the state of New York, I will continue to make sure that happens, because we'll show the world that Buffalo never backs down. We never cave, we never cower. We stand up proudly. We are a proud, strong community. And no matter what comes our way, we'll still be standing in the morning. And that's my commitment to Buffalo. So we're going to continue the sense of hope in our people, in our streets, in our neighborhoods, in our community, our identity. And we're going to continue to hope for a Super Bowl win. Because that's what makes Buffalo, Buffalo, right? There's always something over the horizon that you're fighting for, striving for. It gets us up in the morning. And that is the energy I embrace as I lead this great state, because of people like all of you who've supported me since I was in local government. It's the grit, the charm, the generosity, that unbreakable spirit that I internalize. So I could not be prouder to stand with you here today on the cusp of a painful, painful anniversary, but know that this community is undaunted and we are tough. And I thank you for instilling that in me, because it's a matter of survival sometimes, and I know I don't just survive, I will always thrive because of what I have embedded in me, Buffalo born and bred. Buffalonians, you're tough, I love you, and let's continue to make the East Side rise up to its grandeur glory. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And now, in case you need to be caffeinated when you leave here today, head on over to Golden Cup Coffee. And I don't know if there's any sweet potato pound cake left. But ladies and gentlemen, a leader of this community, Larry Stitz.
Tough act to follow. Thank you, Governor, and good afternoon. Along with my wife and I, Jackie, we are owners of the Golden Cup Coffee Company at 1323 Jefferson Avenue. We started Golden Cup 15 years ago, and we've been fortunate to watch our business grow. Today, Golden Cup on Jefferson Avenue is one of 2 African-American-owned coffee roasteries in the city of Buffalo. In 2008, we had a vision to expand the hub of our operation by acquiring the property at Jefferson and 1362 Jefferson Avenue. It had been opened earlier in the 1940s as a grocery store. And through wear and tear, we took the opportunity after purchasing that building and made a commitment to bring it back to life. The building needed and still need a lot of work. Many buildings in the commercial district in Jefferson Avenue need a lot of work. And we appreciate the governor bringing those funds into the community because we're going to bring Jefferson back one business at a time. In 2020, they helped us secure $50,000 from the Commercial Building Stabilization Fund to put on a new roof. The roof was in critical condition, as they would say. New York State then had a grant to where they gave us $73,000 to put the floors in. Yes, to put the floors in. And we couldn't move equipment or anything in there without the floors. And we really appreciate that. With these much needed improvements, we are finally realizing our dream for future production, expansion, and cafe development at 1362. For the first time, there's a real sense that the east side of Buffalo is turning around. Financial opportunities are being made available to entrepreneurs like me have been patiently waiting for that time to come. It has truly been a golden opportunity for my wife and I look forward to spreading the word about the $10 million East Side Building Fund and continuing East Side Buffalo revitalization. Next time you're on Jefferson Avenue, Governor, please come by and grab a cup of coffee and sweet potato pound cake. And at this time, I'd just like to thank you for the support that you've given the Golden Cup and all of the businesses on Jefferson Avenue. Like I said, we're going to bring Jefferson back one building at a time.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Majority Leader Crystal Peoples-Stokes.
Good afternoon. How's everybody doing? This is how you look when you just got off the 90 and you just finished passing a historic state budget. And you literally didn't think you were coming here today because I heard it was at 1 o'clock. I was like, I can't make 1 o'clock. Why couldn't I make 1 o'clock? Because the payroll office didn't open till 9, and I was not leaving Albany without being able to pay some bills here in Buffalo. So I am super grateful to be here. I certainly want to honor our great governor. I mean, you all know I've been around for at least 5 governors. This is a great governor. Now, I'm not saying that because she's from Buffalo, and I'm not saying that because I know her as a friend. I'm saying that because I've seen the results of her work. And I know that there are tons of people, not just in this room, but probably in this state and in the city, who don't like some of the things that she does. But you know what? People who only focus on one issue and decide their opinion on an election is suffering from a Goldilocks syndrome. We need to be looking at a holistic system. That's what we have in this governor, and I'm super grateful for her. Certainly grateful to be here with my new colleague, Senator April Baskin. It's a pleasure to be able to work with her. It's a pleasure to be able to work with all of the elected officials across this community. There's some people, I know there's a primary going on, but let's don't talk about that. Primaries happen. And at the end of the day, somebody's going to win and somebody's going to lose. But right now, there are people that are doing the job in Buffalo, and I think we have to honor them. So Interim Mayor Scanlon, I honor you. I certainly honor the council members, Boylan, Majority Leader. I honor all the council people. I saw there she is over there. I honor the work that you do, and because you spoke so loudly and so vividly about what you needed, I worked really hard to make that happen. And I hope that it serves the people of Buffalo. when Hope Knight was introduced, I had to stand up and give her an applause because she's a mighty financial person. I had to. I am grateful to have had the opportunity a couple of months ago, my chief of staff and I, to go over the total of what happened with this $10 billion. And I was like, this is huge. You have to talk about this more often because there are still people in our community literally walking around and saying nothing is happening. I know, it's hard to understand, but they still are saying that. And so I think even when you make this great announcement today and hope when you all make this announcement that there's still going to be people who are naysayers and going to find some things that are wrong. Well, if you're adding another $10 million to that, let's see what they say after that. Because there still are going to be those folks. I'm excited about what's happening on Jefferson. I'm born and raised in Buffalo. As a matter of fact, I'm born and raised on the east side. I've never lived anywhere else in Buffalo. And although I respect the desire to try to change our image by changing our name, let's stick with what you know. East side. East side. I was in Harlem not long ago, and somebody said, oh no, this is Manhattanville. I said, no, it's not. It's Harlem. So there's the strange things how people do when things get investments happen and complexion of people changes and things start to look different, you think somehow you need to change the name of the community. I actually think that's kind of disrespectful. And I would hope that we would go back to saying East Buffalo, kind of like East Side, like we say West Side. Like we say South Side. Let's say East Side. I'm good with that. And so what's happening in these commercial strips is real, and it's supporting business people who have demonstrated the capacity to support themselves. Now, there are a ton of people who are in business who don't support themselves so well, and they expect that somebody else should do it. That's not the way it works. You gotta put in to get something back. That's what Larry and Jackie Stitt did. They put in, not only to their existing business, but they went and bought another building on Jefferson that they knew needed work. That didn't stop them from making that investment and seeing the vision of what it could be. And when people have a vision, it's government's responsibility to see that and build on it. And that's exactly what the governor and your representatives in state government are doing. I'm excited to have the capacity to do that, and I'm really grateful to see what's coming next. I know it's gonna be as great as we have seen right now. Lastly, I will say this about the Buffalo Bills. Maybe we shouldn't wait so long for a Super Bowl. How about we just get a draft of the NFL happening in Buffalo soon and very soon? You can make that happen, Governor. I know you can. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Keep those hands together for Senator April Baskin, everybody.
Good afternoon, Buffalo, New York. I too am fresh off the road from Albany, but I'm not in leadership like the leader, so I got to leave sooner than her. I got to take a shower and put on this blazer. But I'm so grateful for her leadership and the governor's partnership, and I want to lift up my conference members and the great Andrea Stewart Cousins, who leads my conference, because that was brutal, but we got it done. And I'm very, very proud of the resources that we are now going to collectively deliver for our city and our great state of New York. You know, before Governor Hochul, New Yorkers were not privileged to be able to say a very specific phrase. Happy Mother's Day, Governor. We couldn't do that. She's a first. Sometimes they try to rewrite history, but Kathy Hochul brought that to these streets. Happy Mother's Day, Governor, and happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers who are here today. Give them a round of applause. I still sometimes have nightmares about 514. I didn't have the experience of those direct victims, but being someone who represented the community, who lived a short few miles from Tops, It was quite a tragedy. Even still talking about it to this day makes my hands sweat. So don't shake my hand after this, pound it. And I remember when all the elected members gathered into the Apollo Theater short time after the shooting happened, and we had all been briefed on the tragedy. And the governor was there. That deserves a round of applause, period. And I remember two things had to happen at that time. One, we had to address the tragedy, and we had to have justice be served. But also, the governor was able to put that into a perspective, and then also she was able to think about why the mass shooting happened. And we could sum that up with white supremacy and the mindset of white nationalism, but it's also the fact that East Buffalo had been facing disinvestment for decades. And so while many of us were focused on justice being served in that tragedy, our governor was thinking about that, but also thinking about how we could right the economic wrongs of this community who had been violated in this tragedy. And I remember the announcement of that first $50 million is just going directly to the East Side to help the East Side be better so that things like this don't continue to happen. And that still resonates with me, Governor. So thank you for your leadership in that moment, because I know it was very, very tough. I want to also acknowledge Hope Knight for your hard work and all of the hardworking folks over at Empire State Development. It's not always easy to deliver to underserved communities like the East Side, but over the last 7 years, the East Side has had a focus because of your leadership, Hope. And ESD has not only delivered, but along the way, they have listened to the community. Just a week ago, I went over to ESD to get briefed on what progress was happening in the commercial districts, and I had some ideas that I had heard from local minority developers in our community, and I brought them to the table, and ESD said, "Senator, we're already doing that. Join the team. We got it. We got it." And I was so proud, not only that the groundwork had been laid, but that there was an open door for opportunity for me and my office to be included and the residents in my constituency. And I want to also offer a great deal of thanks to the program administrators that helped these programs be done, because we don't talk about them enough. Heart of the City, Broadway Fillmore, Citizens Alliance, and the Black Chamber of Commerce. You see, these are the organizations where the behind-the-scenes work gets done. Business owners like the great Larry and Jackie Stitz, they have these scopes of work, and these scopes of work are big, but there are architectural designs and hiring of contractors and dealing with paperwork. You know, we wouldn't be standing here today celebrating the governor giving us another $10 million if for the last 7 years the work and the money wasn't implemented in the right way. So I want to highlight those program administrators for your hard work too. I like the title, the East Side Building Fund. The church folk know all about a building fund, don't we? We usually get nervous when pastors get up there talking about a building fund. But this isn't the building fund that we talk about on Sundays at church. This building fund is for everybody on the East Side. And I am so grateful to that. And it's at a time like this where funding from a government level is being stripped from us, especially the funding that was created to right our country's past. And at the federal level, we see so many of those programs and those intentions just being ripped day by day by day. But because of our great governor and the hardworking folks over at ESD, New York State is doubling down in addressing diversity, equity, and inclusion by delivering more money to Black neighborhoods and their commercial strips. Two of the businesses that that are beneficiaries of this project are something special to me. First, Brown Sugar Hair Salon on Bailey. Owner Lisa Daniels has been my grandmother, my mother, and my daughter's stylist. She don't do my hair because I don't ever have time to get my hair done. But I'm so glad that Brown Sugar has received this funding because I don't want to fight with my daughter about her hair. So it's really good that that place exists and that it's spruced up and it's looking nice. And then I want to acknowledge Sunshine Vegan Eats, a minority woman-owned. Many of us know that that was the once Maddie's restaurant, the great Butch Holt and Maddie Holt, who, well, it was Maddie. She always made it known that that was her spot. And the great Honorable Butch Holt, you know, when they left, it left a gaping hole for a place of community and good food for us, especially getting the grits and the bacon and the sausage that we just love to eat at Maddie's. And you drive down Fillmore every once in a while and you just see it sitting there and you think about all the good times and you think about generations of Black business owners that have had to depart, you know, their businesses. About a week ago, I had the privilege of standing with Councilmember Everhart in the neighborhood where she was raised on Delavan Avenue, and the city hung a trailblazing sign for James Vincent, who owned Vincent's Barbershop, JV's Barbershop on Delavan for 50 years. And now Mr. Vincent passed away last year after owning that lot of land, that business, and operating in the community for over 50 years as a Black man on the East Side. And now he has been able to leave that business behind for his children. And that is remarkable. This year we are celebrating 100 years of the family-owned business we know as the Criterion newspaper. 100 years. And then maybe some folks in here that are older than me might be able to name maybe one or two, but the legacy of being a Black business owner on the East Side, unfortunately, isn't a long one. And sometimes after people leave, their businesses leave with them. And they're not able to pass it on down to their children and their grandchildren like the Vincent family and the Merriweather family has been able to do. But because of our great governor, we're going to change that. And I believe that we're going to see a long legacy of Stitt's great-grandkids brewing coffee and giving people sweet potato pound cake for years and decades to come because of projects like this. And it was heartbreaking to see the establishment of Maddie's sit there for so long. And I want to congratulate Chef Nikki of Sunshine Vegan Eats, who is a stellar chef and who is carrying the tradition of Black business ownership in that very, very same building. It's a restaurant owned by a Black woman, just like it was, and I'm sure just like Miss Maddie wanted it to be. So again, I want to give you all my greetings. Happy Mother's Day to everyone, and especially Governor. Thank you so much for this investment and for investing in, not East Buffalo, the East Side. I got it right? Thank you.